Well, can you guys? Oh man, I think I moved it. Can you see my television? I bought a television today. It's not a real television. It's literally a Christmas ornament. So there's that. No, not the point. The point is, I mean, there's a couple of points that I can make. The point, or the main topic I want to talk about right now is this idea of American exceptional the idea of American exceptionalism and the end of it. I don't know if I'm going to edit this video to include the clips that I'm thinking of, but I will put them in the description box. There's a talk. Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna switch cups just because I actually got a Hogwarts cup and I want to use it because it's really cool. It's like a butterbeer goblet. Can you guys see it? We should just drink out of my cup to Olivia supremacy. Also, I'm gonna make another video about this because I think some of you guys are just really salty. Like, I'm not going back into tech. Like, never. I'm never going back into tech. You'll never catch me on anybody's engineering team. I might build something and hire engineers in the future, possibly, maybe, but probably not. Like, if I build anything, it's going to be on the product side. I'm much more into like building products. Like, I don't really care about the engineering side, so I'm not going to be making any videos about servers. So to those of you who are excited about that, I'm so sorry, but no, it's never going to happen. um American white supremacy killed engineering for me. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like, it, let me just go into that for a second, because it actually, the topics tie in. So when back in the day when I was a young lad, okay, I thought, I picked a career. Initially I picked medicine, so I did all the pre-med stuff, did all the research, did all the volunteer shit, was going to go to med school. And then I was like, actually, nursing school would be just easier because it's like not, it's less time, less money. So got into nursing school, went for 1 day, and then was like, ooh, don't want to be a nurse. So dropped out of that. Then went back to pre med, and then was like, I need a career, something I could do faster that would make a lot of money. So I became a software engineer, specifically a data engineer. Decided it wasn't that I didn't like data engineering. I actually did like data engineering. The learning curve was swift, the learning curve was large, and then the industry was changing very quickly. So people were moving from like Hadoop to like cloud services like Google, and like who is another player, like Microsoft has one, like Intel have the into cloud computing. Basically everyone was moving their data from on-prem like servers that they own into cloud distribution. And so because when you move your data into cloud services, there's other platforms and apps like Looker or BigQuery that already enable you to like parse data using their um, kind of like integrated apps and services. So you don't need to use Hadoop to do that. They do kind of the data migration themselves. You only have to do it once, and then you can switch all your pipelines. That new data that's coming in, you get it from, or it already goes into a database that's managed in the cloud. And so it changes the way that data engineering works altogether. So I just felt like, it's much more pragmatic for me to understand how to manage a product that's consuming the data. And so I did that. And what I understood about doing that is the people who are there are very, very white, and they're very, very American, and they're very, very male. And just every single thing about me does not align with their values. And like, we cannot coexist in similar spaces. And so when I'm saying that, I know exactly what I mean. And I think that a lot of you guys don't know what I mean. The reason that you hear like Latin Americans talking about things like colorism and life chances and like being on the lighter spectrum of the scale and having a nicer apartment or having blah 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 blah. If you're in America, you're probably thinking like, what are they talking about? If you just have money, you could just buy those things. Like we know a lot of darker skinned people who have those things, so like why are they saying that? Well, it's because like in other parts of the world where there's like no possibility of a meritocracy and there hasn't been this like long history of like a civil rights movement that's enabled darker complected and black people basically to integrate into society via like federal and government and like policy integration. The black people haven't moved up, so like there's nothing you can do in those societies to like become wealthy, to become educated. It doesn't matter like anything about you socially, anything about your personality. If you are black, you are poor, and they need you to be that to occupy the poor black space, so that like it's slavery in a lot of ways. Like you need slaves to like plant and pick the cotton so that like you don't have to do it. Well, now we have like machines that can do it, so obviously like a machine is cheaper than a human. But there's still a lot of shit that like robots and machines can't do, so you still need humans to do it, and so that's why you have this like class hierarchy. So the smarter the jobs become, where they require more like critical thinking, more like management type of roles, typically people in those roles are like whiter, and that's still present in America. Now, the problem with this is like there are a lot of darker skinned black people in America who are like, well, we don't want to be just like, you know, janitors or something. We don't want to be just like servants. We want to do we want to participate in other parts of society where we can become like respectable people because, you know, we've gone to college and we have the skills and ability to do that. And that's true. They do. Right. Obviously, we have like quite a lot of like, well, first of all, like we have historically black colleges and universities who like train people from the start to just become doctors or lawyers. And obviously, even in the black community, you need doctors and lawyers and dentists and all those things. So if the black people choose to remain in the black community and they go to those HBCUs and they go into society, then they get to be like the top tier of like the black community. You can see this in entertainment, right? How you have like Tyler Perry, he's got this studio, he's telling all these very black stories. He's like at the top of the entertainment totem pole. The same way like Oprah Winfrey, or maybe now we have like Jada Pinkett and Kerry Washington who are writing these books. They're at the like top of this like entertainment totem pole. But there's other parts of society. There's like law, there's like medicine, there's engineering. Okay, there's a lot of other parts. Now the problem is, well, I don't see this as a problem because I don't really care. Like personally, I'm not invested in the future of America, so I don't really give a shit. But I feel like a lot of black people who have been educated in America, either by way of have grown up in America, or just like moved to America and then, you know, are starting to work in society, they're kind of like looking around and realizing like this isn't what I thought it would be. This isn't really what I signed up for. Like I'm actually not interested in this. And I think like the Israel-Palestine conflict is bringing up kind of a lot of old baggage and enabling people to see things as they truly are without a filter. Now, I saw a video today that I thought was interesting where there's some diplomat from China. Well, there's a couple people, American diplomats. So, well, not just diplomats, like the governor of California, for some reason, he was meeting with like Chinese government officials. Okay. And then basically I don't know what the hell they were talking about. I guess it was about like clean energy or something. Sure, that's great. Sure, I don't know why would the governor of California be meeting with someone from China. Like, it just seems untimely and not smart. But whatever. It looks like Biden has some meetings on the agenda as well. Here's what I would say. I don't think that it matters. I think that America is a little bit like, first of all, the biggest social media company in America right now is TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company. Okay, so China has the most data coming from America. And like, if you don't know right now, there's a thing in China. It's called like WeChat or something. I think it's called WeChat. WeChat is basically like WhatsApp, but it's like all of the other apps available in China are like controlled by WeChat. So like your banking, your chat, your Facebook, they don't allow Facebook there, but it's like a Facebook type of thing. And they have this thing, it's like called social grading. So basically, like your social grade is kind of like your credit score in a sense. And so if your social grade is bad, you might live a very bad you won't live a very good life in China. And it is totally like a monarchy, and a lot of people who move from China to America are very critical of kind of like the way that the government functions there and how oppressive it is, because it does feel very oppressive. Now, we could say that that's bad or good, but the reality is China has pulled like 200 million some people out of extreme poverty in the last 10 years, which is we've never seen that on planet Earth. Like, so many Chinese people have escaped extreme poverty, and it was through like technology. So they went through their like kind of Great Depression sort of age, and they pulled a lot of their mechanisms for escaping the like Great Depression of China from what happened in America. They've been doing this on a lot of other fronts too, which I don't think many people have been paying attention to. So there, in tech, we've been paying attention to it a lot. Like, a lot of people have been talking about intellectual property and how China is like taking the intellectual property of Americans. Very true. This has been happening for a very long time. They just literally will copy the code. If they see some platform that they like and that they see is working, they will just literally make a platform that is like exactly the same. And so that is how China has been able to just like take the intellectual property of America. And they've done this on like all fronts. So all virtually of the technological advances that America has have been just duplicated at this point by China. So they have the same, how do you say it, intellectual capacity, and maybe even more, because they can produce cheaper, faster, and more. Like, we actually got a lot of our raw goods from China, like the tangible items, we were getting them from China. Okay, anyway, so why is this important, and what does this have to do with sort of American exceptionalism? Well, there's been this sort of idea where people have wondered for so long, like, why is America at the top? Why is it like all over the world? America just keeps winning at everything. Like, we have the best economy. All our shit is like the most expensive. We just charge like extreme rates for stuff, and we have this like huge military. So if anyone fucks with us, we can just do all these things. Well, for quite a few years, China has been like ramping up to be like, fuck them. We want the number one spot. We want the number one spot. Now, because America currently has the number one spot, people from all over the world, and I mean every country, the poor countries, the richer countries, everywhere, whoever is the best from those countries, they've just been coming here and kind of like soaking up the benefits, almost like tourists, to soak up the benefits of kind of American access. We'll call it that, American access. So people from all over the world can just come and be tourists in America and like travel through all the cities and have the great experiences, and then just go back home. Just go back home, because it's the elites who are doing the traveling. Like, the poor people from all of the other countries aren't actually able to even get passports and visas and pay for the fees and shit to travel around. They don't have the money. They just don't have the money. Money is what gives you the opportunity to like do all of those things. This is how you can watch it. The people who are doing it, they've got YouTube channels and Instagram accounts and all these memories of things that they've done. And everyone else, as you see, they don't. They've got these memories of like local experiences where they're not even able to talk about the shit that maybe like you and I are talking about. Because if you haven't noticed right now, the people who are engaging with my content and who actually have something interesting to say, who even know what the fuck I'm talking about, are a part of this global elite class. They're the people from Africa who already have the money and who can travel around, who can pay for American education, and who can go back to Africa. The people from Britain, right, who I done something with in life, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's that Black American girl that I know. Okay, those are the people who are like here and who are watching. Some people, like I made that video about Mexico, so there's a lot of people who streamed in from there. But like this, please, you can unsubscribe. This channel is like definitely not for you, like at all. I'm so sorry, it's just not for you. But like, or even the people from the developing world, from like India or something, like this channel is not for you. Like I mean, I guess it would be interesting for you to watch it to maybe understand like 50 years from now, like what would be useful for you, like, but honestly, like at this point in time, there's just nothing that I'm saying that would be impactful or even like relevant to your life now, because I just started so much further. Like where I started was so much further than everyone else. That's where I started, and I didn't try very hard. I mean, I tried, but I mean, I definitely could have done more, but I also could have done a lot less. Okay, like I did enough to get way farther, and because of my race and because of my gender, I didn't get that far. I didn't. I got far, but I didn't get as far as I should have. That's what I'm trying to say in this video, because I'm not the only one. The racial caste system here is real. And when I'm talking about all these things about like justice and justice not actually coming for Black Americans simply because they are Black Americans, a lot of Americans think that this is okay because we'll be able to play catch up in the next few years or whatever. And little did they know, like, China is developing Africa. You can believe it, you can not believe it, you can care, you can not care, it just doesn't matter. But China is up for the next top spot. This is why I continue to talk about African babies speaking Mandarin and like Africa, China, basically world domination. They have the largest populations, and China has the best chance of becoming the #1 global superpower. That's just how it is. In the same way that like we can just try to argue about America being the #1 superpower, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And all the things that like so many Americans right now are fighting for racism. They are like actively fighting for, like they are pro racism, and they don't understand. The Israel-Palestine conversation is so good because it is so reflective of oppression. If you haven't noticed, there's not like a super large population, but there's definitely Asian people in America. When you see Asian people online, do you see them talking about Israel and Palestine? Do you? Have you seen any Asian person that you know even say anything about Israel or Palestine? No. Nope. No. Why? Well, because most Asian people see, like, Asian people are colorist, right? Colorism is a thing. And so whiter, how do you say paler? Let's not even insert whiteness here. Paler Asians, like Japanese, Chinese, they are more powerful and more wealthy and globally have more power than browner Asian people, Indians, Filipinos, Malaysians, right? And Arabs are technically considered like colored brown Asian people in terms of like race, and like paler Asian people don't really give a shit about what happens to browner Asian people. In the same way that like white Americans typically don't give a shit about what happens to Black Americans. You see how that works? You see the parallels there? This is why so many Black Americans are like, we actually care about what's happening to Palestinians. We don't want to just watch genocide happening and just not even say anything. That would be fucking brutal. We definitely don't feel this way. We have personally overcome our own genocide, and we don't want to be alive to watch, like, to witness the genocide of another group and at least not even say anything. The least we could do is say something. I feel like in general, that's how like most Black Americans feel. In general, you can have your own feelings about, like, there are individual cases of Black Americans who are like, well, you know, we feel whatever, but for the most part, I feel like that's kind of the sentiment that I'm getting. Now, I think this is also interesting because I do want to talk about this in terms of jobs and the American economy. Now, the reason I think that so many people should care about what these employers are saying about, like, if you are pro Palestine and you are, marching and advocating against Israel at this time when Israel is being, like, attacked, because we support Israel, we don't want to hire you. Well, that's certainly a stance to take, especially when another group is going through genocide at the exact same time, and that group is the Palestinians. In the same way that, like, how do you say, all of this, the American Industrial Revolution, right? All of these great things in America happened at the same time that, like, Jim Crow happened, at the same time that, like, American racism was, like, wild and free. It was, like, prevalent. Like, it was really important. These things happened at the exact same time. Now, the narrative, there's always this, like, narrative switch where they try to make you forget it, or they try to encourage you to believe that, like, it wasn't as important as it was, or that like, you should forget or something. It doesn't make much sense, but they try to do this. I don't really get it, but they do. And when you, like, if you were to, like, just look at the facts and look at the timing of everything, like, there's this outrage that's coming from, like, American Jews and some American white people, and they're saying, like, why don't people care enough? Why isn't everyone outraged? Why isn't everyone outraged? And I beg to differ. Like, people have been outraged for a very long time. For so long. It's just that we live in a segregated society. So when one community is winning, like, say, if white America is, like, winning, like, they're just up, typically it has nothing to do with the black community in a good way. It is literally at the same time that the black American abortion rate is, like, also way, way, way up. Black families are being ripped to shreds. There's, like, Jim Crow and the white hooded KKK who's trotting. Like, usually it's, like, all that is happening at the same time, right? Like, everyone on television is white. Like, all the most popular shows, like Friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be, like, whatever the whitest thing that you can think of. That's what's happening at the same time that, like, the black community is, like, really fucked up. But you won't really see that much positive. You won't see general outrage. So, like, here's a good example of this. I can probably pull up, like, 16 examples of, like, white girls right now who are all over the world in countries that are kind of near where Israel is. Like, we could put up Israel on a map and then look up surrounding countries that are maybe, like, 5 or 10 miles from Israel or whatever. And then I could, like, watch these girls right now who are, like, at a cafe. They're just, like, at the beach chilling, listening to a song, maybe playing the new Taylor Swift album, whatever it is, something that's making their image appear to be, like, unbothered. Like, I saw that, what's her face? What was this girl? Oh, there she is. So, Tay Bell. So Taylor, whatever her name is, like, she's a very educated girl, right? She's got, like, a master's degree from Wharton, or maybe a graduate degree from Wharton. I'm sure she knows about what's going on in the world. I haven't seen her post anything about it. Why? Is it that she doesn't care? She doesn't have to care. There's no reason for her to care. She can just post with her little backpack in America and just be like, this is fine. It's fine. Because, like, probably where she is, like, everyone around her is, like, talking about, I don't know, whatever's happening at her job or whatever they're doing, like, in her world, has nothing to do with Palestine or Gaza or Israel or Jews. Nothing at all. And that is what I'm encouraging black women to move toward. You need that kind of freedom in your life, and you're never going to get that in America. That's never going to happen here. The oppression Olympics here, like, you're just too far behind. You're just like light years behind, and you're never gonna catch up. So I would encourage you to not play that game. But instead of trying to play that game, why not just like go home? The reason that Jewish people are fighting for Israel is because they have to. They don't have another place to go. Like, if you're black, you can go to Africa. You just can, because black people is for Africa is for black people. It is. So if you don't have any money, get some fucking money and then go. Go build something there. Go. Really. Like, that is your home. That is such an unpopular opinion, but it's like so true. Um it's just true. It just is. It just is.